All right, Cheri, so it's my turn to interview you. I appreciate the interview we did, you asking me the questions. So now I'm going to have the opportunity to ask you some questions. So for those who maybe haven't seen our other video, how we met was really interesting in the sense that I was throwing you some compliments on your one of your videos, and then you kind of gently let me know that you were taken.
Married?
Yes, absolutely. And so I just was like, well, that was an important piece of information, and moving on. And then professionally, you had offered me the opportunity to do a collaboration, which, by the way, it's kind of interesting. It was almost like you read my mind, because that was something that made sense, because you're Nutritarian, which is a lot of people are not. And so so with that, I wanted to ask you, my first question is, do you have a twin sister?
Do I have a twin sister? That's funny. I don't have a twin. I don't have a twin. I have a brother, so maybe that might work for somebody, but...
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe, we could be friends or something, but...
Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you, but you were very professional and very nice, and as soon as I saw your channel, I was just like, yeah, we have to work together because we both have such similar audiences.
Glad you believe in second chances.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what made you come up with the name Watering Mouth? I like it. It's catchy.
Thank you. So this is actually a funny story, because a long time ago when I started my website, so I have a website and a YouTube channel. The website is thewateringmouth.com and the YouTube channel is The Watering Mouth. When I started the website, it's almost been 5 years now, I started to blog about food in general. At this time I was not a Nutritarian, I wasn't a healthy eater or anything, I just blogged about food in general. I really liked food. So I knew I wanted a website, but I didn't really know what I wanted it to be about. So I did this thing where I just took all these like food phrases and I put them into GoDaddy.com to see which domains were available at the time. And literally, like, The Watering Mouth was the only thing that made sense that would work. So I took that domain, and then what happened was, like, by magic, a year and a half later is when I became a Nutritarian. And it was, health related. I wanted to get healthy, and my father died of cancer in that same year, which was a big sort of catalyst for pushing me towards Nutritarianism. You hear about Dr. Furman's concept of toxic hunger versus true hunger. He said that one of the main symptoms of being hungry is not that, crazy pain in your stomach or getting headache or being irritable or all these things that we associate with being hangry. It's actually your mouth watering. And so I had this crazy moment where I was like, wow, I started this website a year and a half ago, and here I am growing into the name without even trying. Like, it just happened. And I was like, wow, what a cool representative name for the type of lifestyle that I follow now. So, I didn't actually mean for that to happen. It just sort of happened without my trying. So that's why.
It was definitely an epiphany, wasn't it?
It really was.
Actually, I wasn't even aware of that connection, so I'm glad you shared that with us. Can you tell us about your most viewed video, the do-it-yourself peppermint shot glass? And did you expect it to do as well as it has? It's got over 1 million views.
This is an interesting story too, actually, because I knew from blogging that you sort of, after a while, it's like a percentage game. You'll get a hit at some point. You just have to keep going. Like with your video, with what is that garlic?
How to eat garlic raw? The health benefits.
As you're blogging over time, you kind of like, you have these hits. Like you might blog 20 times and one of them does pretty well, This one actually was in response to another one I did. So I have another one called the Toasted Marshmallow Shot Glass. That was the first one I did. I actually knew that one was going to go viral because it was going viral on Facebook, but it was just this picture that wasn't a very good quality. So I did that one. And within about a month or two, that shot up to 800,000 views, immediately. It took off on Reddit, and then everyone just ran with it. And that was my first real viral hit, and I was so excited. So I thought, you know what, I know I can do another one. And I knew that people liked the cute little shot glass idea, and so I thought, well, let me try to do something for the holidays. I made up the peppermint shot glass, so I did that one, and it was so cool that my idea worked, and it was really exciting to see a lot of that success. Except the next year or two, my diet changed quite a bit. I'm not a big drinker anyways, and I never was. I just thought that cocktails were fun, and I like to drink sometimes. I realized pretty early on in this Nutritarian journey that it was kind of something I would either have to keep doing it very strongly or I would have to let it go. And so I kind of don't really do much with the alcohol stuff anymore, just because I am so focused on the healthy Nutritarian side of everything that I don't really want to promote, the crazy fun drinking anymore. But it was a really fun time in my life to watch those go viral and see what happened.
Well, I loved it, and I love the way you are then and now. So I think it's absolutely great. I think we all go through our own journey, and who knows, maybe you could do like some like healthy version of that and use some sort of like, I don't know, like maybe you could like some sort of Nutritarian peppermint substitute.
But actually, it's funny you say that. I do actually have some ideas for some cocktails that might be considered a little bit healthier. So I might have something coming in the future.
Oh, trust me. Look, there's a couple of vegan spots that actually have cocktails that include like vegetable juice or fruit juice and that kind of stuff. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens, won't we?
All right. So when you started your YouTube channel in 2012, what was your goal in doing so?
My goal with the YouTube channel was to be able to give, because as a cook, I really like to cook a lot. As a cook, I know that sometimes it's hard to visualize a recipe, or it's hard to know exactly how to cut something if you're sort of a beginner cook, or you're not really at the point where you can take a recipe and make it your own. You can just look at a recipe and go, oh, here's how I'm going to make it. So I knew that a big component of my site was that I really wanted to have visuals, and I love video. That's my medium. I just think it's so much fun. It feels so freeing to me. I love blog writing and stuff as well, but really video is where I feel the most comfortable. So I also wanted to do, like, I have some really crazy videos on my YouTube channel, like just silly stuff from back in the day when I first started, just really silly stuff. And so I just felt that was kind of, that was me. That's how I wanted to express myself. And so I started that way, and I didn't have a huge goal for it, just that I wanted to be able to express how to create a recipe and show people really how, here's the nitty gritty of how you do something. And so now that it's a Nutritarian thing, I really love it even more now than I did then, because there's so many people that don't really know how to get started with Nutritarian things. Like you and I were talking once about the beans and how it's difficult to, like, you don't really know how to make beans. And while they are very simple, unless you actually sort of see someone do it, or you take matters into your own hands and try for the first time and maybe screw something up or maybe not, it's hard to really get a grasp on how to do some of that stuff. But once you realize how easy it can be, and I try to make my videos as short as possible, and I always add in like little jokes and things to make them entertaining, but still to show you how to make the recipe, and then give you some tips at the end. I think it's a good little, package, 2, 3, 4 minute package to show you exactly what you're doing and what you're getting into with the recipe. And that's kind of my thought behind it. So I always hope those are very helpful.
Did you become a vegan, a Nutritarian at once, or was it Nutritarian first, then vegan? Like, how'd that all kind of work out?
My dad got very sick in 2013, and I moved in to stay with him and take care of him in the last 10 months of his life. So it was a hard loss, and it was hard to see him go through it, too. When you are the caretaker for somebody who has a disease like this, and unfortunately, almost everybody has somebody close to us that has either died of a heart attack or cancer or something, and if you don't, it will happen sometime in your life. That's just the statistics. So many of us know what that feels like. Not many of us know what it feels like to be the caretaker, the person that's actually there helping with all the little issues. And I got a real first look, close up of what that was like to go through that disease. And it was a sobering, like, this is not something I want to go through. I'm not going to do this. And so I had a friend named Catherine. Her mother had lupus, and she wanted to find a way to get over the lupus. And I think she has had a lot of improvement since. But Catherine had found Eat to Live in trying to help her mother with lupus, and then she told me about Eat to Live because, Catherine had started it with her mother and lost crazy amounts of weight, like, very easily, and she was somebody maybe who had some trouble losing weight in her life, and suddenly she was losing weight, and I was like, oh, what's her secret? I want to know about that. And when I heard that it had to do not just with weight loss, but also with disease prevention and becoming healthy, that was right up my alley at the time, because I was dealing with my dad's death and going, this is not something, and I had this false hope of wanting to help him. He was a little far gone at that point, unfortunately, but it was nice to know that there could be hope for me in the future, that I didn't have to get cancer. I don't have to have heart disease. And so really that was the main thing that got me going into it. And I started off 100% hardcore in the beginning, vegan. And I actually watched a lot of vegan animal cruelty videos in the beginning as well, because I personally was ready to see those things. So I started to actually watch those videos on purpose to educate myself. I was reading all the books I could about Nutritarianism and everything that Dr. Joel Fuhrman puts out. I was just a sponge at that time, taking care of my dad and also learning. And it really felt like this sort of rebirth for me. I had a lot of change happen in my life at that point, and it was all on my side for the things that affected me. It was all positive for me. I lost a bunch of weight in the beginning. I lost 22 pounds in 6 weeks in the first, very beginning of it. I was 100% vegan. I was very dedicated to being vegan as well. But I ended up, over time, then my dad passed. And so then I went through a very rough 6 or 9 months of, trying to deal with his death and going through that. So I sort of went off a little bit, and I had to find my way back. And so it took a while, but it was a very interesting journey for me through my grief and through trying to find out, how do you come back from this? How do you get back into the spirit of it and keep doing it? And so at that time, when I went off, I wasn't vegan anymore at all. Like, I just was eating pasta and cheese and butter for like 6 months. And when I finally came back to it, I was like, you know what? I don't like how I feel. I don't like how I look. I want that back. I want that feeling back of where I was. And that was my biggest motivation at that point. Then it wasn't even the vegan thing. Like, yes, sure, I still care about animals, and I'm still very passionate about that issue. But for me, it was so easy at that point, once I'd done it, to go, oh my gosh, I want that feeling back. I want to feel light, and I want to feel healthy. I never get sick. I know you've told me about this before too, but I never get sick. I don't remember the last time I had a cold. And I always hear every fall, everyone's getting sick. Their kids are getting sick. They're getting sick. Everyone's sick. And I'm like, I don't even remember the last time. So there were so many positive things. I just had to get back into it. And that's when I got more into, how am I going to get myself to do this on a regular basis and really stick with it? And so that's where my website started to really take shape, because I realized what I wanted to blog about and what I wanted to vlog about on my YouTube channel was, how do you do this when you have these difficult things in your life? Like, how do you stay on track? How do you stay motivated? How do you do it when there's people around you that don't want to hear about your healthy, stupid habit? Like, people are, a lot of the times they want to make you feel bad about it. It's difficult. So I wanted to blog about that. How do you do it in a real life, when you have a lot of obstacles and things like that? So that became what it turned into, was testing recipes. I made another rule for myself that was 1 recipe per week. I have to try one new recipe per week. And, after a year or so, I had learned so many recipes that suddenly I could look in my fridge and just create a whole meal out of leftovers and things that I had, this was going bad, so I needed to use it up, or this, and just started to get really creative and make my own recipes. And that was when I was like feeling like I was really coming into my own, and my website was taking shape to where it is now. So yeah, that's the long answer for that question.
No, I mean, you touched on a lot of good points there. I think that when you experience improvement in yourself, improvement is empowering. And when you have when people don't know their current status if there's no basis for comparison. So if you actually partake a new diet, and it actually is a good diet, and it helps you lose weight, you have more energy, you sleep better, you're lighter in your feet, and everything else, and now there's a comparison. I totally can relate to that, for sure.
I think that's the main point to keep in mind, is that when people are skeptical about being a nutritarian or going this far to the end of the healthy spectrum and being the most healthy, eating the most healthy foods, no salt, no oil, no sugar, etc. When you go to that end of the spectrum, people are afraid of going there, but once they get there and they get benefits from it, it's hard to go back at that point, because now you know how good you can feel. And so many people will never experience that feeling because they're afraid of going to that end of the spectrum. But I just say try it for a week, try it for 3 weeks, give yourself just, you know, an amount of time that you try and see what happens. And that's when it hooks you, because you realize, oh, this actually does make me feel better.
So my next question is, what other diets did you, or perhaps you may have tried in the past, and why is this one different in your opinion?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a, pretty typical female. I've always been overweight a little bit. Didn't really have much control over my emotions or my eating habits or anything like that. That's why I started the blog in the first place, because I just love to eat, So it was a little bit difficult for me to lose weight when I was younger. So I started off actually when I was 19. This is when Slim Fast was really big. So I started actually on the Slim Fast diet. And it's really interesting because that was around the year 2000. And that's when websites started to be popular. So people just were getting the internet and they were just starting to understand how to use the internet. And Slim Fast was one of the first websites that had a ton of nutritional information on it as well. So that's when I started to actually become sort of a nutrition nerd, because I would sit up all night and just read the Slim Fast website. It was the first time I ever I was just a sponge. I was just soaking up as much information as I could. And I went on the Slim Fast diet. I lost like 30 pounds in, I think it was 3 months. Just bam. It was the first time I ever dieted. I was very serious about it or whatever. But then, as you go, but I just remember that kind of dieting was like, oh, it was so hard, Yvonne. Like, it was the worst, because I always call it white knuckle dieting, where you're just trying to hold on with all of your bite. Like, if I just eat less calories, I'll be okay. If I can just get through the next few hours without binging, I'll be okay. Like, you get so hungry and you're so angry, and that's not how you lose weight. That it's possible and people do it, but that's why you can't maintain it, is because you're not getting the right nutrition. You're not getting the right nutrients or calories. And so for me, I was able to do it because I think I was fresh in the world of dieting, but it didn't last. I was able to keep the weight off using white knuckle dieting for 1.5 years. And then for the next 8 years, I couldn't diet to save myself. I tried everything. Just like so many of us have that story. And then, I just kept trying the white knuckle dieting. And then another thing that I started doing was swimming. So I was swimming a lot and I was able to eat a lot, which allowed me to lose some weight. But then my schedule changed and I wasn't able to swim anymore. And so I gained it all back. And I was like, this isn't working. There must be, I know there's a way. There must be a way to be healthy and lose weight. I just knew it. I just had this feeling in my head. There must be something out there that's going to work. This can't be it. And it took a little while for Nutritarianism to come to me, but then when my friend finally introduced it to me, I was like, this is it. I found it. And I think so many people have that, that revelation when they find this and they actually try it, that, wow, I finally found what it was. So I went from one of the unhealthiest things you could do, the Slim Fast diet with these chemical, shakes, to the absolute healthiest thing. But it took a while for me to get here.
Well, congratulations on getting here, and not definitely, feel free to ask me or come to me for any kind of support to help you kind of stay on track, because it's not really a diet. It's not like a cult-like, a mentality where it's like we're just in some. This is like real life, and this is like, he has the book called The End of Dieting for a reason. This is the way to eat for life, and it's like. And it's actually not even a life sentence. It's a blissful life of eating the way that it's like, if people were born into eating this way, who knows? We may not even, we wouldn't have cravings for the other foods, that's you have the taste memory. But I wanted to also just kind of support you in the sense that you're not alone. A lot of other people out there struggle with their weight, and also there's a biology involved actually, and I've actually made videos on this, so I really understand body weight regulation intensively. So it's okay. You're not alone. It's physiology kind of fights us to some extent.
And I think and I think that's true. I definitely want to check out more of your videos about that stuff, because it's so interesting for me to know the genetics of it and the physiology behind it and all that sort of thing. And I do, just so your audience knows, I do a vlog every single day, a video blog every day on what I eat and my thoughts about that, and what I was going through or maybe caused me to eat this thing or not. But when I go off, I talk about it and I explain what happened, and I get back on. And I think there's been a lot of people who have commented and said that that's been helpful for them. So that's kind of a way that I deal with it as well, to just kind of get it out and get those thoughts out and talk about it with other people as well, because I do know, at least in my audience, there's a lot of people who have that struggle. And
I'd like to tell everyone to go to your channel and your blog and support you, because I think you're awesome. And by the way, I know you said that, you know, me competing in bodybuilding, how that's hard and tough, but I think you're like I think you're the bodybuilder of blogging, because you're really intense. Like, you do one every day. That's remarkable. And so that's why I want more people to go to your channel. I mean, that's something that's rare nowadays. Someone to like show their emotions so you know, transparently like that. Just kind of wear their emotions on their sleeve. And I would say that I'm sure I'm not alone when I say we appreciate that. That's really, we can relate to that, you know.
Thank you. That means so much to me. Honestly, it's my favorite thing. It's my labor of love. And just like you are, Yvonne, I mean, I really want to spread the message about this lifestyle and how we can all get healthy. So I hope to do that in a very transparent way. I try to, I show every single thing I eat and maybe what I shouldn't have eaten and what I felt about it. So
okay, so one more question before we get to the lighter side of Cheri.
Okay.
What's your workout regimen like? Your current workout regimen?
So my workout regimen is very easy, actually. I'm not like you, Yvonne, much at all, although I am trying to get into more toning and weights and things like that. But typically, I'm a lot more towards the average American when it comes to working out. I've always found one exercise that I love and just done that repeatedly. So like when I used to live in Florida, there's no hills or anything like that. So I used to rollerblade a lot there to get exercise, and I would do that several times a week. When I first moved there, I was walking on the beach all the time. And I sort of, as I go throughout the years, I'll find an activity that I love and I'll stick with it. So here I live in Las Vegas, and my favorite thing to do just to step out of the house and go for a walk. And I think that walking is something that almost everybody can do, and it's a very easy activity to do, and it's very important to get at least 20 minutes in a day if possible, every single day. That's my basic regimen as far as what I make sure I do all the time. I also hike a lot. Hiking is my favorite thing in the whole entire world to do. The other thing that I do is recently a friend of mine was, she just put up a plank challenge. So yeah, I was doing planks for 30 days, and this challenge was so intense. It went from 20 seconds to 5 minutes. So over the course of 30 days, I ended up doing a 5-minute plank, and I'm going to put up a video soon of me doing that last day of the 5-minute plank because it was pretty intense. So I did that. Now I can plank for a long time, so I've been trying to plank every day. I do 2 to 3 minute plank every day, and very soon I'm going to be adding in like just a little circuit workout that I can do at home, which is just like burpees and push-ups and things like that. Just 8-10 minute workout. So I'm going to try to do that because I'm not the kind of person who's going to go to a gym. I'm just not really into it. So if I can just get some tone with something that I don't feel too like, oh, I hate working out, you know, if I feel happy about it, I'd like to do that.
Okay, so are you ready for the lighter side questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, what's your favorite color?
Well, okay, this is kind of a lame answer, but I like all the colors.
All right, so what kind of music do you listen to?
Like if I was going to choose a Pandora station, it would either be like Hall & Oates, or Huey Lewis and the News, or Dave Matthews Band.
Old Dave Matthews Band, there we go. All right, so obviously you like cats, but are there any other animals you would have as a pet, or you simply like?
Yeah, so I definitely love cats. I have 2 little bratty ones that live at my house. Actually, I've been thinking about getting a dog lately, but it's just there's so much effort, you know? What I love reptiles. So I love lizards. And if I could have a snake, oh my gosh, that'd be so cool.
That's impressive. You're fearless. What do you hope to accomplish with your YouTube channel? And are there any other sites you would like people to know about? So if they would like to follow you.
For me, my goal with my channels is, I said, to give the recipes and to give people an entertaining view on how to create a recipe. Because of course there's a joke at the beginning of every recipe. But other than that, it's to give that emotional support and to give that sort of community feel that we're all in this together, that I do with my video blogs. So the best ways to keep in touch with me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, because as you and I have talked about that, Yvonne, It's free. It's a way for you to be able to stay in touch and listen to the things that I or Yvonne has to say as soon as they come out. So subscribing to my YouTube channel is a great way, and I think we're going to put some links down below this video so that we have those links. But the other thing is to subscribe to my email newsletter. So I do about 2 newsletters per week, and they include some free Nutritarian recipes and some free information on how to be a Nutritarian. So those are really the 2 ways that are, I think, the best ways to keep in touch with what I do. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my email newsletter, and I also give out a free Healthy Recipes cookbook on the newsletter as well. Not to mention my favorite chocolate peanut butter smoothie. That's like the best thing in the whole entire world. You get that when you sign up as well. So those are the best ways to keep in touch with me.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, I mean, I think we are complete. We are finished.
Yes. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.